in the quiet suburb of Oakville, just west of Toronto. A place where families gather for weekend movie nights, and where the aroma of popcorn mingles with laughter. Something unsettling has happened. Film.Ca Cinemas announced it is canceling screenings of South Asian films after an arson attempt and a shooting on its property. A decision that has sent ripples of concern through an entire community. This is not just about a cinema closing its doors to certain films. This is about what happens when violence intersects with cultural expression, when fear replaces joy, and when a community begins to question whether it is truly welcome in the spaces it calls home. The incidents themselves read like something from a crime thriller, yet they are all too real. Both incidents occurred overnight while the theater was closed, and fortunately, no one was injured. On September 2, suspects used a flammable liquid to set the theater's entrance doors on fire, although the blaze remained contained and did not cause significant damage. Then, just days later, another attack shattered the night's silence. The pattern was clear, the intent unmistakable, and the message, though unspoken, was understood by everyone watching from the sidelines. The cinema's management faced an impossible choice, one that no business owner should ever have to make. Do you stand firm in the face of threats, or do you prioritize the immediate safety of your staff and patrons? Jeff Knoll, the chief executive officer of Film.Ca Cinemas, expressed the weight of this decision in his statement, saying, "We remain open for business, and will fully cooperate with and assist law enforcement in retrieving any information about the perpetrator and conspirator and bringing them to justice. Because this just cannot stand." His words carry both defiance and resignation. A recognition that while the theater remains open for other screenings, something essential has been lost. "We recognize that many guests had eagerly anticipated these films, and we sincerely regret any inconvenience and disappointment this decision may cause." He added, though the word inconvenience feels inadequate to capture what this truly represents. What makes this story even more troubling is that the incidents may be connected to disagreements within the South Asian film industry. This suggests that what appears on the surface to be random violence may actually be part of something more calculated, more systemic. Some distributors of South Indian films in Canada have alleged that there is an ongoing campaign to prevent popular movies from appearing in Canadian theater chains as part of an effort to control the market and safeguard profits. If these allegations hold any truth, then what we are witnessing is not just criminal intimidation, but an attempt to monopolize cultural expression through fear and violence. This is not an isolated incident, and that fact alone should alarm us all. Similar incidents, many of them involving drive-by shootings, have previously been reported at other theaters in the Greater Toronto Area and in British Columbia. A pattern has emerged across Canada's most populous regions, targeting venues that dare to screen South Asian content. What was once a string of unfortunate incidents now appears to be a coordinated effort. A shadow war being fought not on distant battlefields, but in suburban shopping plazas and community entertainment centers. For members of the South Asian diaspora, particularly those who have made the Greater Toronto Area their home, this development carries a significance that extends far beyond movie screenings. Cinema has always been more than entertainment for immigrant communities. It is a bridge to the homeland, a way to hear your mother tongue spoken with the cadence you remember from childhood, to see stories that reflect your experiences, your values, your struggles. When a family gathers to watch a Tamil film or a Hindi blockbuster, they are not just watching actors on a screen. They are participating in a ritual of cultural continuity, ensuring that the next generation understands where they come from, even as they build new lives in a new land. The cancellation of these screenings sends a message that reverberates through living rooms and community centers, through temple gatherings and family dinners. It whispers a question that no one wants to ask, but that everyone is now thinking. Are we safe here? Is our culture welcome? Can we express our identity freely, or must we constantly look over our shoulders, wondering if the simple act of watching a movie in our own language has become a dangerous proposition? These are the kinds of questions that keep immigrants awake at night. The fears that resurface whenever violence touches their community, no matter how indirectly. The timing of this incident makes it even more poignant. October is a month of festivals and celebrations for many South Asian communities. Diwali, the Festival of Lights, is approaching. A time when families come together, when children dress in traditional clothing, when homes are decorated with oil lamps and colored powder. It is a season of joy, of renewal, of triumph, of light over darkness. Yet now, that metaphorical darkness seems to have found a literal manifestation. creeping into spaces that were supposed to be sanctuaries of entertainment and community gathering. Consider what it means for a parent to explain this situation to their child. How do you tell a young person, born in Canada or brought here at a tender age, that the movie they were excited to see has been cancelled? Not because of poor ticket sales or technical difficulties, but because someone set fire to the cinema's doors. How do you help them understand that their cultural heritage, the films that connect them to their grandparents' stories and their parents' memories, has become controversial, even dangerous? These are conversations that shape a young person's sense of belonging, that influence whether they see themselves as fully Canadian or as perpetual outsiders. The psychological impact of such incidents extends far beyond those directly affected. It creates what social scientists call a chilling effect, a phenomenon where people suddenly withdraw from public cultural expression, not because they have been directly threatened, but because they have witnessed what happens to others who dare to participate openly. Families might think twice before attending a South Asian cultural event. Theater owners might hesitate before booking an Indian film. Distributors might reconsider bringing new releases to Canadian markets. Fear, once planted, grows in the shadows, affecting decisions and behaviors long after the immediate threat has passed. There is also a business dimension to this tragedy that deserves attention. South Asian cinema represents a significant market in Canada, where over 2 million people trace their heritage to the Indian subcontinent. Bollywood films, Tamil cinema, Telugu movies, they all have dedicated audiences who fill theaters on opening weekends, who buy tickets weeks in advance for the latest releases. These are not niche offerings playing to empty halls. They are commercially viable products that serve a substantial demographic. When theaters pull these screenings, they are not just making a security decision. They are acknowledging that violence has become an effective business strategy for those who wish to control what gets shown and what does not. The response from law enforcement will be crucial in determining what happens next. Halton Regional Police are investigating both incidents, but investigation alone is not enough. The community needs to see that such acts of intimidation will be met with serious consequences, that those who try to control cultural expression through violence will face the full weight of the law. Without visible, meaningful action, the message sent is that such tactics work, that they achieve their intended goals without significant risk to the perpetrators. That is a dangerous precedent in any democratic society that values freedom of expression and cultural diversity. What makes Canada unique? What has made it a destination for millions of immigrants over decades? Is its promise of being a place where different cultures can coexist, where you do not have to erase your heritage to be accepted as Canadian. The multicultural mosaic, as it is often called, depends on the ability of communities to express themselves freely, to share their traditions, to maintain connections to their roots, while building new identities in their adopted homeland. When violence disrupts this process, when cultural expression becomes a target rather than a celebration, the very foundation of that multicultural promise begins to crack. For now, the lights have gone out on South Asian cinema in Oakville, and a community waits to see what comes next. Will this be a temporary setback, or the beginning of a broader retreat from cultural openness? Will law enforcement succeed in dismantling whatever network is behind these attacks, or will fear continue to dictate what stories can be told, what films can be shown, what languages can echo through cinema halls? The answers to these questions will say much about what kind of society Canada is becoming, whether it remains true to its multicultural ideals, or whether those ideals will be compromised in the face of organized intimidation. This story is about more than cinema screenings. It is about whether a community can feel safe in expressing its cultural identity, whether violence can be allowed to determine what art gets seen and what stories get told, and whether the promise of multicultural democracy can withstand the pressures of fear and intimidation. As families drive past the darkened entrance of Film.Ca Cinemas, past doors that still bear the scorch marks of that September night, they are not just seeing a temporarily closed venue. They are seeing a symbol of something larger, something more troubling, and they are wondering what it means for their place in this country they call home. If you found this story important, if you believe these conversations need to be heard, then please consider supporting our channel. Hit that like button to help this video reach more people who need to understand what is happening in our communities. Share this with your friends, your family, anyone who cares about cultural freedom and the safety of immigrant communities. And do not forget to subscribe to Wes's Best channel, where we bring you the stories that matter, the perspectives that challenge, and the truths that need to be told. Your support helps us continue doing this work, and together, we can ensure that these important voices are never silenced. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.